Hello, today I'd like to show you how you can plant new trees or new shrubs from simple stem cuttings. It's a lot easier than you might think. Today we're going to work with elderberry, basket willow, nannyberry, and sycamore. Because all of those are trees or shrubs. You can propagate them all with simple stem cuttings. So we have a lot of elderberry here, and I'd like to trim some out to allow some of the plants that are growing close by more space. So cut that right from the ground. And it's important when you're using a stem cutting that it's at the very least pencil thick. So this is actually much thicker than pencil thick. And then all you need is, if you look closely, if you come closer and look, that you can see that there are these leaf buds. Okay, these leaf buds are what makes it so easy to transplant these and make them into trees. You can do it with a minimum of 2, but I like to take 3 or 4 leaf buds. So here's the bottom. You cut as close to the leaf bud as possible. And now I'm going to cut the top. So I'm going to count leaf buds. 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th one. Okay, so now I'm going to cut here. And so what's going to happen is when I go to plant this, I will have these 4 leaf buds. These 2 I'm going to put in the ground, and these 2 I'm going to put above the ground. The roots will grow out of these 2 and the branches out of these 2. So now I'm just going to continue cutting, and then I will continue showing you with other trees. So here we have nannyberry, and this nannyberry has some suckers on it which are just the right size for propagating. And so it's the same thing. I'm just going to cut these right at the base of the tree. And what's important as well is have a look at your cutting and have a look at the leaf buds nodes, so that you know which direction is up. In this case, you've got the little leaf buds that are facing up, that are pointing up, because when it's time to transplant, it's important to put this in the up position. So once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take a couple more. 6. All right. So here we got 2 here. When you're cutting close to the trunk, it's important to try and get as close as possible to the trunk without, of course, biting into the actual bark of the trunk itself. And then this will heal. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd like this a little taller, so I'll take 6. 2 in the ground. The others can become branches. So this is about the perfect width, let's say the perfect minimum width for a stem planting. They obviously can be thicker, but the minimum is about pencil thick. This is a bit more than pencil thick, which is good. The length will depend on the type of shrub or tree, because different shrubs and trees will have different distances between the root nodes, the leaf bud nodes. So and this one, as you can see, there are some of them. There's 1, there's another, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, and as you can see, they point upwards. They don't always do that, but these ones do, so we know which way is up. And I like to bury at least 2 leaf nodes and have at least 1 that isn't buried. So which means a minimum of 3. So I could plant this and it would probably grow. But I leave a few more. I don't want to leave too many, because you don't want to give the plant too much work, of too much, let's say, living material to upkeep during the winter. But this is relatively short, so I think it's fine. And it's also a willow, and willows are one of the easiest things to propagate like this. But as you saw earlier, I did elderberry, I did sycamore, and I did nannyberry. And so what's going to happen is, this being a shrub, and also certain trees like sycamore, what's going to happen is they like humidity and so on, and they will sometimes be in areas where the height of the soil might change because of floods and that kind of thing. So that's what they're adapted to. So what's going to happen is, this is dormant. So the tree didn't feel that I cut it, and what's going to happen? These leaf nodes, which are alive, these buds are alive, along with the bark, but they're dormant. What's going to happen is when I'm going to put this in the ground now, and during the winter, with all the freezing and thawing, and the humidity, and the soil, and so on, the moisture, the fungus, etc., that it's adapted to, that will also, let's say, stimulate it to grow, because every tree has its fungi that it is adapted to grow with, that it needs. All plants need certain fungi to help them grow, and so that's why native plants obviously do best in their native environment, because they have everything they need in the soil. So what's going to happen is, during the winter, these leaf buds, these leaf bud nodes, they're going to feel the moisture of the soil. And they are going to then feeling that moisture of the soil, feeling that suddenly, oops, we're not up in the air anymore. We're under the soil. We're surrounded by earth. And so what's going to happen, and these are going to transform into root nodes, and they're going to start sprouting roots over the winter months, between now and the spring. And then in the spring, having sprouted a few little roots, using the energy that's in the bark and that's in the buds themselves, using that energy, they'll sprout those roots, and then those roots will start absorbing moisture and nutrients from the soil. Then what's going to happen is, in the spring, up top, leaves will bud and grow, and then they'll start absorbing the sun's energy. So it's quite simple. So just with a little stick like this, you can have a new tree. And so all you have to do now is bury at least 2 of these nodes, so it's not that much that I'm putting in the ground. So I'll show you. I'm going to put it over here. I've got a few that are already in the ground here. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to push it in the ground somewhere where the ground is nice and soft. I mean, it's time of the year, there's lots of moisture. So there I go. Here I'm pushing it, and there I got at least 2 nodes in there, if not 3 or 4, for the roots to come out. There you go. So one way to propagate is to simply take the stem and put at least 1 of your leaf buds in the ground. If you can put 2, that's even better. You can also do it in a pot. So for instance, I'm going to put these in the pot, sink it right in the pot like that. Now these pots, I'm going to surround them with some wood chips or some leaves throughout the winter, so that they can stay more or less warm. But these are all native trees, native shrubs, and so on. So they'll be fine anyways. Especially because they don't have roots yet. They'll start growing roots in the spring. They'll grow a few little very small roots this winter. I don't know.